That building collapse in Surfside, Florida. New video shows the moment of the collapse captured on security camera from the adjacent building. You can see the middle of the building go down, and then the side goes down as well. The whole thing happened around 1 o'clock in the morning. Rescue efforts have been underway ever since. Victor Oquendo joins us from the scene now. Victor, I know you've been there all day. What's the latest?
All right, Diane, so the rain just started coming down again here, which can't be helping the search and rescue efforts here in Surfside. But let me go ahead and show you that building real quick. You can see the front of it, it's still intact. But then this left side here, just over my shoulder, you can see that cloud of dust that is debris and smoke rising into the sky. It looks like firefighters trying to put it out over there right now. That's the giant mountain of debris over there. We're being kept quite a distance away out of fears that the rest of the building could come down any moment now. The latest update we just heard from the director of the Miami-Dade Police Department saying that the number of those unaccounted for could be 99. Now, just earlier, we heard that that number would be around 51, but we should tell you that unaccounted for does not necessarily mean dead, and these numbers are likely to change, as they have been all day, because it is tough to peg this number down so early in this investigation. So that's the latest there from police. And as you guys mentioned earlier, 35 people have been pulled from the structure itself, 2 from the rubble, 10 were treated on the scene, 1. At this point, at least 1 person has died. That number, though, likely to change. Diane?
Victor, any idea what caused this collapse?
It's still too early to tell. We know that this was an older building. It was built in 1981, and it was going under that mandatory 40-year recertification process. That's where engineers come in, they take a look at the building and decide what needs to be fixed, upgraded, changed. We're told it was going through that process now. We know that there was also a lot of machinery around the property, and even, we're told, on the roof, but still no official word on what may have caused this just tragic incident.
All right, Victor Oquendo in Surfside, Florida for us. Victor, thanks.
And so, as we just heard there, ABC News has learned there could be as many as 99 people unaccounted for, based on the occupancy in that building, the known occupancy in that building. And to give us a sense of the community that is Surfside, California, we want to bring in Joseph Geller. He's a member of the Florida House of Representatives and is joining us now. And sorry, the rain has just basically zapped that shot, so we will continue right now with Rick Klein, who is standing by. He's ABC News political director. He's been following this all day as a news hound himself. And Rick, here we are in the early hours. This is obviously going to be a major investigation. I can't remember a catastrophe like this in the United States in a long time. And they're going to be looking at all kinds of things, from the potential that climate change and the porous limestone rock that Miami Beach is built on perhaps impacting it, to problems in the construction or maintenance, to parking garages. This is a formidable challenge for the authorities in Florida, and President Biden said the federal government is willing to step in and help as well.
Yeah, and it comes on a day that the Congress is talking about infrastructure. Of course, this is not quite the same, but the idea of structural integrity, it is an absolutely shocking event. As you said, Terry, not the kind of thing you think could ever happen on American soil, not triggered apparently by any kind of explosion or act of terror or any kind of man-made or certain kind of natural disaster. Just a true and utter tragedy, and one that's going to take a long time to understand. And, you know, in the early talk, the discussions around making sure it can't happen again, you think about how many buildings are around the United States in coastal areas and elsewhere that potentially would have to be retrofitted. It is mind-boggling and just absolutely staggering to think about the possibility of building collapses like this happening in American City. And as you say, Terry, a lot to be learned about this event and a lot of lessons to move forward with.
And we don't want to talk about the politics of this, but this is a test of a community's political leadership. Can the community come together, help first find out exactly what happened, comfort the afflicted and the survivors, take care of those who may be injured. And I guess one could say that for better or worse, South Florida has a long history and a robust administrative system and government system to deal with disasters, because it's so often in the target of hurricanes. And we've seen over the years that government structure down there get into high gear around disasters. They haven't seen anything like this, though. This is just shocking as we're looking at the pictures here, Rick.
No, I think it's a terrific point. I mean, I think the way that South Florida and other regions like it that are used to having natural disasters, hurricanes and the like, are able to respond might actually mitigate some of the circumstances around this. It is a moment that's bigger than politics. It's a moment that I think is bigger than any of the petty grievances you might think about. It's a legitimate human tragedy. I'm also struck by just the outpouring that have come in of experts that have been able to weigh in on this, and there's how quickly people were able to respond, even though this happened in the middle of the night. And of course, as everyone offers their prayers that there aren't more victims.
All right. Rick Klein, thanks very much. Stick around. We're going to go back to the Biden infrastructure plan in a moment, but we're going to continue with our coverage of this disaster just north of Miami Beach in Surfside, Florida, the collapse, partial collapse of that building there. Diane?
ABC News has just learned that that building was up for its 40-year recertification. Now there's a focus on stabilizing the rest of the buildings in that area. I want to bring in Chairman of the Miami-Dade Board of County Commissioners, Jose Pepe Diaz, who's been there all day. Chairman, thank you for being here. I know it's been a really busy day for you.
Yeah, it has. It's an unfortunate day, but one that we're here in support and doing everything we can.
I'm sure. I know you've been there all day. We saw you at the presser this morning and this afternoon. Tell us a little bit about what it's like there at the scene right now.
The scene is got a little chaotic. We had a little bit of a fire going in the actual building. It looks like it's pretty much stopped, but it's very sad when we go in and to see the relatives that are waiting for any kind of news that could come about their family members or their friends, and that's very hard. Along to see, one thing is seeing it on television, but when you're up close and you see this disaster up close, it really magnifies how bad it really is. So it's something we would never expect in our community, something that is not part of anything we basically have seen ever before, except for maybe some other structures that have fallen. But it's very sad and it's very hard, but we're blessed that we have probably one of the best USAR teams in the nation or in the world. They're actually working on that and have been working since the call went out at 1:48 this morning. So, you know, at the end of the day, we are prepared in our community to handle these type of disasters, but it's never really something that we expect to see in our communities. And unfortunately, we're addressing it. Or fortunately, we're addressing it the best way possible. It's just hard to see the families suffering the way they are.
Absolutely. It's one thing to be prepared, but you never want to have to use those resources. And Chairman, we heard the governor earlier say that the images on TV just don't do this justice. Can you give us a sense of what the damage is like seeing it there in person?
It's the sense is incredible. It looks like a bombing somewhere that you see in these war zones, and so like that. The building just collapsed, and 55 apartments went down and just collapsed into a structure that it was also a parking lot with another level. So that also collapsed down into the parking lot. So our firefighters are going through everything and try to rescue whoever they can, and they're trying everything possible with canines, with special cameras, with sonar, everything that is the top in equipment to be able to search, and that's what they're doing at this time. We're still searching, and we're praying to God and praying that we find more people. As you probably stated, the last information that our Director of Police, Freddie Ramirez, stated, 99 people are still missing. It doesn't mean that they're there. It just means that they're missing. And that's where we're at. At least we're accounted for 53 people. And those are the latest stats that have gone on right now.
So 99 people still missing. You say over 50 now have been accounted for or rescued, and we're now hearing the latest numbers now, an update that at least 3 people are now reported dead here. Chairman, we also know that there's a reunification center set up, because in many cases like this, you have someone who did make it out of the building, but their cell phone didn't. They can't get a hold of their loved ones. So how's that process been like, trying to reunite loved ones with people who were inside the building, but that you were able to get out safely?
I just went with the mayor and a couple of my colleagues, along with the mayors of Surfside and a couple of the surrounding cities. We went there to speak with the family members. They're very distraught. They're suffering, as we all are. It's a very difficult moment for a lot of people, especially those family members and their friends. They're just suffering. I guess part of the hurt and the suffering, besides the situation, is not knowing what their condition is, and that's an extremely hard situation for them right now. So one of the hardest things was just sitting there and hugging a couple of them and just trying to pray with them or find faith that their relative will be found alive in this situation.
And so what resources are needed there on the ground right now? What can people do to help?
Well, right now, we have all the resources that we could possibly use to do the operation that has taken place. We have all the manpower in the fire department, and like I said, our USAR team. It's incredible. The resources are here for the mission right now of rescue. When the mission changes to recovery, then we'll see more asset that might need to be brought in. But the governor has been here. He has pledged support. I know that the mayor's gotten calls from the president and our senators, and they've all stated that they're supportive, and through FEMA and everything else. So the resources will be there, but the resources that are needed right now are here. And you know, at this point, it's the people that are hurting the most are the family members and the unknown situation, like I said. So we have a lot of resource there, too, to be able to talk to these people. We have chaplains. We have special people that deal with this. We also are looking for certain hotels to be able to put the people that have been displaced because of this disaster. So there's a lot of things that are going on simultaneously. And that's where we're at right now. It's vast, and as time goes on and we find more things out, more other resources are brought into play. But at the time, I think everything that's being done is everything that could be done. And we'll see what happens in the hours to come.
Yeah, the one bright spot in a charity like this is seeing communities come together to help each other out, and it certainly seems that's happening today in Miami-Dade County. Commissioner Diaz, we appreciate your time today. Thank you, and prayers and lots of fingers crossed for all the people there in Surfside.
Thank you so much. God bless you all.
Amen to that. Well, as Victor Oquendo was reporting, a Miami-Dade official tells ABC News there could be as many as 99 people unaccounted for based on the occupancy of the building. As Diane was noting, a lot of people can leave a building in a situation like that and not be accounted for a while. There are, however, as many as 3 confirmed deaths to this point. And to give us a sense of this community, Surfside, let's bring in Representative Joseph Geller. He is a member of the Florida House of Representatives who represents this community. Representative Geller, thanks very much for being with us. And I guess my first question is, when you heard about this and how you reacted and how your community is reacting?
I got this news very, very early this morning. Some colleagues had immediately called it to my attention. A terrible, terrible tragedy. We mourn the loss of life, the people who are hurt, the people whose lives are destroyed. How people are reacting, it's unimaginable. I spoke to a friend who used to be vice mayor of Surfside. He lives in the building. They opened their front door to their apartment. There was 5 feet of hallway and then nothing. They tried to evacuate and couldn't. They finally had to be rescued off their balcony by a cherry picker from Miami-Dade Fire Rescue. Just a terrible, terrible tragedy.
It's just unimaginable. That building, 40 years old, that's not really a very old building as you look at it and you understand everything from the nature of the geology of Miami Beach to the kind of construction. Have you got any sense how something like this could happen?
There are, some possible causes, but really at this point, it's not only too soon to know, but the focus now is still trying to see if there's anyone who can be rescued alive. That's, they're walking gently across the ruins of this building, not only with dogs, but with super sensitive listening equipment that could even pick up the sound of someone breathing or scratching, much less calling out for help. And they have to be very careful not to cause a further collapse. So really, right now, it's hoping and praying that there are still lives to be saved. Then comes very grim work in recovering bodies. And then comes that search for answers that we all want to know.
That's a great point. I've covered earthquakes in Nepal and Italy, Turkey, and around the world, and that is the first and highest priority. Listening, that sense, I remember a whole city quiet while they did try to see if there were survivors. There is a family reunification center there, we have heard, that's been set up there, faith leaders on site. What are you hearing from families at this time? Have you been in touch at all?
Well, I want to put this out to your listeners. This is the number for that family reunification center. It's a few blocks away on Collins Avenue, also at 93rd, and 305-614-1819. And anything you guys can do to repeat that over time, that's the phone number. If someone is searching for info on a family member, or if somebody was in that building and wants to report in that they're okay, that's the number that they should call. Obviously, the families of anybody missing are beside themselves. I heard the same information that you did. There could be 99 people unaccounted for. That doesn't mean they're missing. They may have not been home. Not just people who might have gotten out onto the beach and haven't checked in, but just that were away, that were on a trip. So we're very much focused on trying to identify who can be located and accounted for. But I do fear that the last reported number I heard of 3 deaths, I pray it's not more, but I'm hearing that it is a larger number than that.
And Representative, just so we've got it, could you repeat that number for the? There we go. We got it on the screen right now. 305-614-1819.
Yes,
that's the number.
Nervous to put that out. I heard you interviewing my friend and colleague, County Commission Chair Representative, former Chairman Pepe Diaz. One thing people can always do, because he's right, we have the equipment. Miami-Dade County sends equipment around the world to help people after things like earthquakes and similar disasters. You can always give to the Red Cross, and that always helps. And if it doesn't help these people in desperate need, it'll go to another equally worthy cause. As far as possible causes, it's on the ocean. Is there some component that had to do with saltwater intrusion into the foundation? We don't know yet. It's 40 years old. As you say, that's not old. It was actually up for its 40-year inspection. We inspect at 40 years, and it was in the process. And yet this terrible tragedy happened. It's frightening for so many of our residents who live somewhere on that same barrier island or up and down the coast on the ocean, here on the east coast of Florida or on the Gulf on our west coast. It's certainly something that, given some time, we in the legislature are going to be looking at, not just the causes, but how to make sure that something like this doesn't happen again as much as is humanly possible. And there's going to be a lot about that. But for now, again, as I said, we're mourning those who were lost. We're praying for those who haven't been found. And we're encouraging and proud of the efforts that are being made by all of the fire rescue, the emergency responders, the first responders, our county, the poor people in this small community at Surfside, our director of county emergency management, Frank Rollison. I spoke to the state emergency management director, Kevin Guthrie, who's on site. The resources to try to save lives are here. But again, like I said, people can always get to the Red Cross.
Absolutely. Representative Joseph Geller of the Florida House of Representatives, representing Surfside. Thank you very much for being with us on this sad day, and good luck and God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you for your attention to this terrible story.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.